Today I can report some very encouraging information which has unfolded over the last 24 hours. The towed pinger locator deployed from the Australian defence vessel Ocean Shield has detected signals consistent with those emitted by aircraft black boxes. Two separate signal detections have occurred within the northern part of the defined search area. Clearly, this is a most promising lead.
From deep beneath the ocean, new sounds mean a potential breakthrough. A series of distinctive pings now being hailed as a promising lead in the search for MH370.
Today I can report some very encouraging information which has unfolded over the last 24 hours. The towed pinger locator deployed from the Australian defence vessel Ocean Shield has detected signals consistent with those emitted by aircraft black boxes. Two separate signal detections have occurred within the northern part of the defined search area. Significantly, this would be consistent with transmissions from both the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder.
This is an international effort. In Malaysia, the development brings renewed hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new developments over the last few hours has been the most promising lead we have had. I urge all Malaysians and the international community to unite in their prayers and not give up hope. We will continue with all our efforts to find MH370.
Australian and Chinese search crews have been united in the race to find any sign of the plane and its passengers. First, Chinese teams said they'd located a ping twice over 2 days. The signal emitting at a frequency of 37.5 kilohertz. That's exactly the same frequency the locator device on the black box would be transmitting.
We cannot confirm that the pulse signal detected this afternoon belongs to the black box of Malaysia Airlines MH370. The information compiled is being analysed by China's Maritime Rescue Centre, and they are waiting for professional confirmation of the nature of the signal.
But this new data from Australian ship Ocean Shield is being seen as the most significant. Using sound detectors from the US Navy, they picked up two separate signals. The first held for more than 2 hours before they lost contact.
It is a very, very slow and painstaking process. We have the best in the world out there doing it, though. So we're confident that if there is the pinger out there and it's still radiating, we're quite confident that we should find it. We've got the best in the world engaged in this task.
The two separate pings picked up by the Australians were over 1,000 miles from Perth, deep in the Indian Ocean. That's around 370 miles north of where the Chinese ship detected two pulses. Now investigators must determine more precisely where the signals are coming from, and only then can they deploy Bluefin 21, the underwater drone. It was equipment like this that was used to find the wreckage of the Air France plane that crashed into the Atlantic. The mini-submarine can map out the ocean floor and highlight potential pieces of debris. But it won't be straightforward. The uneven seabed is 4.5 kilometres down, and that's the limit at which the mini-sub can operate.
What it's doing is the side scan is running, and it looks out and is getting returns back from primarily hard objects that are on the bottom. All the rows in the mission are put together and created a mosaic, and you can look at that and get an overall view of the bottom and what is there.
Only once the black box is finally spotted will extra underwater machinery be deployed, with the delicate task of recovering the recorder.
We set up grid patterns on the computer, and the ROV follows this search pattern meticulously 5 meters apart. We go up and back and forth through the whole debris field looking for the black boxes. The weather will be the biggest consideration. Between the currents, the wind, and weather patterns, that will be the biggest problem. We might work one day and have to sit around several days waiting on weather to subside.
But time and speed of this operation remain crucial. With battery life on the locators limited, the faint clicks will begin to die out over the next day or so. And after that, an almost impossible task will become even harder.
This is a standard civil underwater locator beacon, and this is a very common one for civil use. There's one of these attached to the flight data recorder, another one to the cockpit voice recorder, and it's activated by this water switch when it goes into the water, driven by a battery inside, and that has a minimum 30-day life.
And those leading the search realise the enormity of the task that they face.
If the pingers are no longer transmitting, we're not going to hear it with the towed pinger locator.
Okay.
However, our focus right now is using that because it has our greatest detection range. But after the period of time when when the acoustic beacons are no longer emitting, eventually there needs to be a shift into a side scan sonar search. Much shorter detection range, much slower process, and I'm sure at that time, whether we acquire it or not with the towed pinger locator now, the area we're in will certainly be a high priority area to conduct that sonar search.
All possible resources are being dispatched. 25 military and civilian planes have been sent to the new search zone. The Royal Navy will add its considerable expertise to the hunt for the black box. Survey ship HMS Echo and submarine HMS Tireless are both equipped with state-of-the-art sonar detecting equipment that could tilt the odds in favour of the search team.
The black box is believed to be about 4.5 kilometres down. That's shallow enough, although it's not shallow, it's shallow enough to detect a black box. You can detect them down to about 6 kilometres. There have been, if the Chinese finding is verified, then it's already been picked up twice, but further ships are required to confirm the finding, and they will work together. The HMAS Ocean Shield, which is towing the pinger detector, and then HMS Echo, which is a very sophisticated survey ship, which has got a side scan sonar and various other sensors, but also Echo has machinery for profiling the ocean bottom, so it can be improving the chart of the bottom of the ocean there at the same time, which is going to be very, very useful if it is the black box and if we then want to bring it up.
Watching this latest progress from afar are, of course, the hundreds of families waiting for news. Anything that could tell them once and for all what has happened.
We are sad over the incident, and we are calling a mass prayer today to give a positive energy, to give the strength to our nation and the search rescue team to find and locate MH370 as soon as possible.
Coming up in part 2, hopes are raised as the relatives of the missing join in prayer. But can those distinctive noises deep in the ocean bring them any closer to what happened to their loved ones? 4 weeks since their relatives went missing, this was time for prayer and contemplation. As the sophisticated radars, the expensive hardware and the international search teams hundreds of miles away try to find them the answers that they need. 239 people are presumed dead, their families desperate to know when they can begin to grieve. The power of prayer was once again the only way that many could cope with this ongoing ordeal.
We are sad over the incident and we are calling a mass prayer today to give a positive energy, to give the strength to our nation and the search rescue team to find and locate MH370 as soon as possible.
But try as they might, any indication, however remote, that the search for truth is making progress raises the hopes of the families. They will soon discover what happened to their missing loved ones.
It will forever be painful. Anybody you lose, anybody you do not know what happened to them, it will always be very painful. All of us want to know what happened to the plane. I mean, it has been a month. And I mean, it's a good sign until they actually study the evidence and what it belongs to, and is it belonging to MH370? Until then, we will hope.
They know that this information could still very much turn into another false lead, but it's hard to stop believing when you have nothing else.
It's good news. I hope the news will be confirmed and they manage to find the black box quickly, so we will know the truth.
Philip Wood, a 50-year-old American, was returning to Beijing following a business trip. He was about to leave China for good to begin a new life with Sarah Bajuk. She was at home packing boxes, waiting for him to walk through the front door when she heard the news.
I do not believe the plane has crashed. I have yet to find any expert who I've talked to that off record has said that they believe the plane has crashed. Everybody believes it's been taken. I absolutely believe he's still alive. I still feel his presence. I am not a metaphysical weirdo. I'm a very grounded, practical, logical thinking person, but I still feel him in the same way I have always felt him. That has not changed. You know, I am prepared for if something else happens. If tomorrow I get the notice that they've indeed found the wreckage of the plane and Philip's body is still strapped in its seat, then I will accept that and I will move along and deal with grief in a normal grieving cycle. But this is not a normal grieving cycle. We don't have resolution and there's no proof, and everything that I've heard, both with my head and with my intuition, points that there is some other resolution. I can only do so much to impact the situation at this point, and the little I can do is to have an ongoing conversation with media and to continue to drive forward the social media efforts of getting individuals to engage through the Finding Philip Wood Facebook page and things. But the other side of my feeling is of an increasing level of anxiety that we don't have any further progress on this. I mean, it's been closing in on 4 weeks, and we actually don't know for sure anything different than what we knew on the 8th. We really don't. And I think we need a few more truth seekers right now and a little less jump on the bandwagon from our governments and, frankly, in some ways, even our media. There's no logical explanation to support that this plane was taken only to drop it into the water. There's none. There's no evidence. They've found hundreds of pieces of debris. None of them are related to the plane. You know, more and more we have to be a little realistic here that says there's got to be another path that was taken.
In all, the passenger manifest included 12 crew and 227 passengers from 14 different countries, including New Zealanders, Australians, Iranians, Americans and Indonesians. 2/3 of the passengers were from China. Among them, 43-year-old father of two, Nikolai Brodsky from Russia. A professional diver and athlete, he travelled to Indonesia on a diving holiday with colleagues and was making his way home when the flight went missing. Also, Swanand Kolaka, 23 years old from Mumbai, was travelling with his mother and father to Beijing to attend his older brother's degree ceremony. Their eldest son waited at the airport for them for several hours. Rodney and Mary Burrows were among 6 Australians flying on the plane travelling to Beijing with another Australian couple. A friend of them said they'd planned the trip following Rodney's redundancy the previous year. The Australian, Chinese and Malaysian authorities all know that these distinctive pings could be hugely significant, but too often hopes have been raised in the past 4 weeks. Satellite images of debris turned out to be nothing more than ocean junk, and that is why all involved are again urging caution.
We have been through a real roller coaster ride based on leads that we have received. But as usual, some leads are much more positive than others. Speaking to Angus Houston earlier today, I'm more optimistic than some of the leads that we have had. So I would like everybody to continue to pray. And this is something that much more positive than others, but yet I'm very cautious about saying any more than that.
Clearly, this is a most promising lead. And probably in the search so far, it's probably the best information that we have had. And again, I would ask all of you to treat this information cautiously and responsibly until such time as we can provide an unequivocal determination. We haven't found the aircraft yet. We need further confirmation. And I really stress this, it's very important.
Yet in this enormous expanse of ocean, these sounds from the deep have now given new focus and drive to this almost impossible task. There is still no sign of wreckage or the 239 who were on board. No answers to what happened in those final hours. But the possibility of finding the black box and voice recorder could bring them that vital step closer to finding Flight MH370.